Welcome. We have finally come to the last session of the cash management story. And we'll start with a recap of the last of the session 10. This was session 11. So in session 10, we covered the regulatory and risk aspects, which are very important for a business. And sometimes disruptive innovators lose sight of this, and that can come back to bite them. We also talked a bit about competition and how sometimes the competition you have to fear the most is not necessarily the biggest competition, but the one which is the swiftest and the most nimble, and how sometimes competition can make mistakes if they just try and copy you or compete on price and things like that. So let's move on to what we want to cover in the last session. And this is a little bit about, the rewards. Once cash management was very successful, then there was like Citibank being a global organization and, having a good global DNA. One of the things it always thought about was replication. So how can we replicate the success of cash management in other countries, in other geographies? And so I did a lot of travel. And then we also had a lot of offsites where I was invited to speak about the cash management story so that people from other businesses, business units within Citibank could learn from it. So I ended up, having to do a lot of travel. And fortunately, my wife could accompany me on many of these trips. And these trips were like really interesting. And we had a lot of fun at these offsites. And but we had our son was pretty small, but fortunately my mother-in-law would take care of him. And but we would have to fly to drop him off at Delhi, where my mother-in-law was, and then we would travel wherever we had to. On some of the trips, we sort of took him along, maybe, but we were just seeing that, by the time he was 2 years old, he had done 24 flights, which was quite incredible. But anyway, so that's just to give you an idea of how, if you do make a successful business, then people visit you, they want to learn, you visit other people, and thinking about how you can replicate is a pretty important thing. Now, some of the rewards that a disruptive innovator gets are quite incredible. So, back in 1985, I used to live in a place called Daulat Nagar, which was on Linking Road extension in Bandra. And I used to drive a scooter to the station, to Bandra station, park it there, take the local to reach our office in Nariman Point. But soon that was to change. I moved in 85, just before our son was born, to a building called Persepolis in Cuff Parade, which was in South Bombay, very close to where I used to work. Instead of a scooter, I had a car and various other perks. I got promoted. Then gradually from this building, I moved to another building which was close by called Venus, and I had a 25th floor apartment with great views. And my friends who were not in Citibank, because for us this was, Citibank was a fast-paced place and it was not very unusual, but they were like shocked, saying, like a few years ago you were here, now you're here. I mean, like. And then finally, I got an international posting where I was transferred to Thailand and became part of Citibank's international staff, which a lot of people, because international postings paid really well, like you were the creme de la creme of Citibank. So people, would give their right arm for such a posting. So with all this happening, it's very clear that if you are a successful disruptive innovator, whether you are within the company or outside the company as an entrepreneur or part of a startup, your rewards are quite considerable. I also became the youngest vice president in Citibank. So, you do get rewards, which makes it all worth it because disruptive innovation is very hard. So if you do not get rewards, then it's a bit troublesome. Now, the other interesting thing is that I've been very fortunate to have been part of what are called two mafias, the Citibank Mafia and the PayPal Mafia. So in 1980 to 1990, the people who were in Citibank, if you look at their history, they have done exceptional things in their lives. The CEO of Development Bank of Singapore was a Citibanker from that period, called Piyush Gupta. The CEO of HDFC Bank is a person called Aditya Puri, who was also from Citibank during that period. Sanjay Nair, who was part of my marketing team, is the CEO of KKR in India. He was the CEO of Citibank. And this is just to name a few. But if you take almost anybody who was there in that period with Citibank, have done exceptionally well. And this is part of the culture of that gets created with an innovative culture, because there's a certain way you think, certain principles you imbibe, and they help you for the rest of your life. So, if you are part of such an organization, part of such a culture, and you are fortunate enough to be part of it, then it will serve you very well in life. And if you are like me and you're doubly blessed to be part of two very, very good mafias, then you feel really good. Okay, and you can retire very early to do whatever it is that you want to do and keep improving lives. So with that, I come to the end of the cash management story. Thank you if you've made it this far and if you've looked at all the episodes. I'm not going to do a recap of what I think you should learn from these stories, because everybody will learn something different. I hope you found them interesting, and I hope you will learn something, and that will help you in whatever you decide to pursue. So thank you very much. The Disruptive Innovation Novice to Expert series will continue with the Citibank Thailand custodial services story, which will be a little shorter than the cash management story because it's a somewhat simpler episode. And then after that, we will move on to the PAL story. Thank you very much for listening to me.